Hey, what's happening, man? Thanks for having me on. For those folks who can't see, it's Chocolate Yoddah, spelled Yoddah, because film studios are litigious. And this is an interesting question. So I didn't hear you from the very beginning, so I'm not quite clear on what your position is. But when the question is it easier to quit a relationship because it doesn't go your way? The answer to me is maybe. Maybe it is easier. It all depends on the circumstance. Not every relationship is the same, right? And everyone has to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. And I'm speaking as a 58-year-old man, so my orientation might be different than other people who are younger, but I don't have the goal in a relationship at this point for marriage. I'm not against marriage, but it's not part of my agenda when I meet someone. So in my case, it could be easier to walk away. And you mentioned a word earlier that I think is interesting, the idea of tolerance. Tolerance is a negative thing when you're talking about the true definition of it, because it literally means to get used to something unpleasant. And I certainly don't want that in my relationships, and I don't expect someone else to have that orientation either. But which way are you looking at it? When you ask this question, what's your vantage point on it?
So the biggest thing is one is the statistics within itself. Them mentioning that on average that for ladies that there's an 80% divorce rate that's there. Irreconcilable differences that's there, but then also just listening to like conversations and just relationships just in general, it's almost like individuals are it, it's like if things don't go, say, I don't know, somebody might be going through a little bit of like a depression or something. Like I said, we're human at the end of the day, but somebody might be actually going through something, and another person might be too selfish to really care too much about what that person is actually going through just because they're not vocal enough about it. Well, to them, they're going to think that they're inconsiderate, that they're selfish, that they're narcissists. Um, and it's like, well, they'll try to end the relationship based off of that. And it's like, okay, because it's not serving you in that moment or when you want it, now all of a sudden this person is a really, really bad person. Now, that's a little bit of immaturity is actually there with it, but this is me talking at 34. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit different, like listening to these conversations in this microwave modern society. And I'm talking about people who are a little bit above me, but then also the people who are a little bit younger than me.
Yeah.
Um, but then also just listening to like just different conversation. I'm not want to say it's always bad. It's not always bad. But it's almost like people always like to share their bad stuff instead of their good stuff. So that's why it's easy for me to be able to actually put this title up, and to ask this question, uh, because it seems that way. It seems like, well, if it doesn't always paint somebody in a good light, if it doesn't make them happy all the time, that it shouldn't exist or that this person shouldn't be here. Now, in regards towards the point that you point out for tolerance, um, to be very honest with you, I think a lot of people do that anyway, regardless if they want to admit it or not. And this is me though. This is my thoughts. So I can be wrong on this. I mean, I can admit that. But in my mind, just from interacting with people most of the time, people tolerate it a lot. You know what I mean? Especially like in relationships. Like
Okay, so is that a good thing to do? Do you think tolerating something unpleasant is good?
it it just depends. There's particular behaviors that people have some bad habits that some people tolerate. You know what I mean? Because it's overall, it's like, well, you care about this person, you love them enough that they might have one particular bad habit that you don't like that gets off your nerves, but you're not going to throw them away because of that one particular thing that gets off your damn nerves.
Sure, that makes perfect sense. So you're creating scenarios that are kind of all over the place, and I'm trying to follow them. But if you have a situation where someone is essentially a wonderful person, but they have, as you said, a bad habit, that's one thing. If your whole relationship is tolerating unpleasant things, that doesn't make sense to me. So that's why I said the answer is maybe, because, we could come up with hypotheticals all day long, but when I coach people, it's all about the specifics of their relationship. And that's why the answer is maybe, is because what's happening in one relationship isn't necessarily happening in another relationship. So it's important to kind of drill down and take as big a picture as possible of every situation in order to come up with the answer. And I agree with you that we have to eliminate the extremes and just focus on the majority of the experience. And you also bring up a very interesting statistic, and I don't know if you fully fleshed it out, but in general, women are the ones that are leaving relationships. If we're speaking about marriage, we know that it's roughly somewhere between 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women, and that goes up to 90 to 92% if the women are college educated. So it is kind of interesting that in a world of hypergamy, you see that women are the ones bailing out more often than not, and maybe embracing hypergamy too much is the reason for that. And the reason I say that is because, hypergamy is as old as the hills. There's nothing new about that idea. You used the word modern earlier, which I think is funny because the word modern was coined in the 1500s, and obviously life is very different now than it was 500 years ago. But we see that the general orientation of women to relationships is that they're looking for more than what they have. And again, totally natural. I have no problem with this. When you ask a woman what she's looking for in a man, all the statistics are in on that. It's like very, very consistent, almost 100%. They're looking for a man who's taller than they are. 6 feet seems to be the preference. They're looking for a man who makes more money than they do, or they're looking for a man in good shape and attractive to them, right? All of these things make sense, and it's not problematic if you have specific measurable goals that you're looking for. But the problem comes in when you're addicted to more. If you just want more, you're probably going to be dissatisfied. And that's when I think it's a little bit frivolous to throw away an otherwise good relationship because you're not getting the satisfaction of having more out of it. Right. And we see this a lot when women talk about the regrets that they have, because I've seen dozens and dozens of interviews with women who regretted breaking up with a man because they realized, he was a good guy, but because I wanted more all the time, I'm the one that ruined it. And I'm kind of all over the place myself now, but you get what I'm saying.
But yeah, no, that's actually a great point. Yeah, hypergamy has been around for years. We definitely know that's not going nowhere, especially for the ladies. But you actually really spoke on a really, really great point at the end, that the problem really is the obsession with more. That would be the Achilles heel because, what's funny though, and you probably already seen it. Like there was something that was off of YouTube, and I think that there were some guys who actually mentioned this too, about what was it called, the husband store or husband mall, something like that. I don't know if you heard that story.
I did not.
Yeah, so like I already got a feeling I'm probably going to butcher the crap out of this, but the way it actually worked was that so there was, I don't know, about 15 levels. All right, so within those 15 levels, each level had a different man that had a different quality. And one level, I think they were saying like he was 6 foot, and then they were, I can't remember exactly how it go, and I'm sorry. Again, like I said, I'm about to butcher it. But like on the first floor, like he was, I'm gonna just use my interpretation. The first floor was like he was 6 foot or something. It was like if you go to the next, you can go to the next level to see, what else, like the other qualities and so forth. So the women go to the next level. So he was 6 foot with whatever, like I don't know, meat stick, a big one. And then, they would go to another one to see what was there. So they go to level 3, and then, 6 figures. And then go to another level, and so forth, and then he has social status, and then go to another level. So I think the way it went, and again, I'm going to butcher it. I don't know if it was like the fifth level. I think that was the highest, if not the sixth level. And the actual post itself said that there isn't a 7 through 15 level. It's like it just shows that ladies have a insatiable need for more, and that you'll have to go ahead and get back in line for the queue. So based off of what it was that you actually had mentioned, yeah, no, that's definitely a great point, because yeah, you know what I mean. It is what it is. I mean, at that point, but it kind of sucks though. At the same time, to discard, people, or especially like a man that's there, and especially that's actually a good man that has the qualities. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. If you think that there's better out there, I mean, hey, go ahead and do your thing. Again,
Right.
that sucks.
Right. And here's the thing, and what you're describing is not inherently problematic. I don't say any of this with any judgment, but what happens to women that have this mindset invariably is that time runs out, right? And this is not a man-made thing. This is not a construct. This is a real biological fact. Women are born with all of the eggs that they're ever going to have in their life. And by age 30, they've lost 90% of them. And by age 35, according to doctors, not me, they go into geriatric pregnancy, right? So the process that you're describing of getting back online is fine until time runs out, right? I don't know if you ever watched the show Sex in the City, but the creator of that show, Candace Bushnell, was interviewed when she was 60 years old. And she said, I regret the choice that I made to focus on my career exclusively. She said, now I'm 60 and I don't have a husband and I don't have children, and it's too late, right? She probably could still get a husband, but she's certainly not going to be able to birth children, right? So, I say all that to say that whatever choice you make is fine, but all choices come with consequences. And some of these consequences are not factored in. Like you have the feminist movement, which, feminism 1.0, I'm all for it. The new iteration of feminism, not a big fan. You can do whatever you want to do. Your life is yours. You can make whatever choices that you have. But you have to understand that choices come with consequences. And sometimes if you decide like, hey, I'm going to follow feminism and say I don't need men and I can just have it all and focus on my career, there's nothing wrong with making that choice, but understand that might mean that you might run out of time to get the things that will become more important to you later on. Because, we're running into a situation where within 7 years, the projection is 2030, that 50% of women over 30 are going to be single and childless. This is not necessarily a productive outcome. And again, I don't judge it. I'm not saying you're wrong for making that choice, but understand that these choices have consequences.
What actually, like, what's crazy? Like, the first thing that kind of pops in my head is can they really blame men though for their decision? You know what I mean? Because well,
they can, and they do, but it's just silly to
do that.
But
it's not helping. It doesn't. No. It doesn't change the situation though. Right. Like that's the thing that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, but that's another topic, right? When you're talking. Yeah, when you're talking about responsibility, it's a completely different thing. But yes, I agree with you. And that is unfortunately the orientation that I see as well, where, people, I see it online because I watch a lot of red pill stuff. I would say about half of it is goofy, half of it is reasonable. But, if you're an adult blaming other adults for your circumstances, you might have a case, but you're not going to be able to find a solution. The only time you're going to find a solution is when you take full responsibility for your choices and then make new choices.
Yeah, I'm not too much of a fan like the red pill. Like I get what they're coming from, but I don't know. I think with the next generation of the wave, like they're getting a little too extreme. Like they're getting a little too weird for me. Um,
Yeah, it's just, it's guys that are angry at women because they can't get laid, and I understand, but I'm not in that world. Luckily, getting together with women is easy for me, so I don't have those issues. The original concept behind the red pill movement was okay, and if you look at someone like Rollo Tomasi, who was basically the main guy in that space, he's just a guy that deals with facts and figures and statistics, and likes to focus on the reality of biology and what those things mean. And I don't have a problem with any of that. Yeah, but
he's married too. That's the funniest thing.
Yeah, but it's fine to be married because you that's a choice that you can make. We are built to be polygamous, but we can choose monogamy, and that's fine. And it doesn't take away from anything else that he says, because again, he's talking about facts, figures, and statistics. My problem with the red pill is when you get guys that become angry and hostile toward women, because that's not productive.
Right. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I definitely agree with it because of that weird frustration of whatever results they're trying to get, or them not actually doing the work on their goddamn selves and improving themselves, or not having like an abundance thought process. They having that damn scarcity, and that kind of makes it a little bit harder. Actually, that makes it a hell of a lot harder on other men, because it's like now, those men become a little too goddamn desperate, violent, and dangerous. And it's like that. Yeah, that crap's annoying.
Yeah, you have to understand that, historically 80% of women procreated and only 40% of men have. The fact is that because, if we believe in Darwinism or we believe in a deity created this, doesn't even matter. The results are still the same, whereas not everybody gets to have everything they want all the time. And some men don't have the skill or the discipline or the talent or whatever it is, maybe the intelligence, to get what they want from women. It's unfortunate. I understand their frustration. Into my 20s, I was frustrated too. But now that I'm 58, and, really, once I hit my 30s, it kind of started changing for me because I started understanding things. I had been in personal development since I was 23. And so I get different outcomes, but I don't forget what it felt like to want something and not be able to have it. Unfortunately, that is the reality of life. Not everybody gets to have everything. Equal opportunity is one thing. I believe wholeheartedly in equal opportunity. However, the one thing that no society has ever been able to create is equal outcome. Okay, there is no equality of outcome. There is only equal opportunity. And we don't even have that in America, but but
say it again.
Oh yeah, no, please. We could do another hour on that, but
I don't understand what the hell people are fighting for equality, like, bro. It's
yeah, no, and again,
like you ain't a capitalist society, a capitalist country, like.
Well, it's not purely capitalist, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, but here's the thing. Again, I will fight for the rest of my life. I have grandchildren. I want equal opportunity, right? We're close to it, but it's not across the board. But equal opportunity is something you can create. You cannot, no matter what you do, no matter how you try, no matter how big-hearted you are and well-meaning and well-intentioned you are, you will not create equality of outcome. People have different skill levels, different abilities, different intelligence, different discipline, different capabilities, different work ethic. Okay, there's too many factors that change what becomes the outcome. But in the best societies are the ones that have created as much equal opportunity as possible. So yeah, there's going to be guys out there that are frustrated. I feel their pain. The sex drive is one of the biggest drives that human beings have. I mean, think about of our wiring. Our wiring, going back to prehistoric women, prehistoric people, I'll say it that way, is you find something to eat to keep yourself alive. You make other humans to keep the species going, and you try to avoid things that want to eat you, right? That's our wiring. So making other humans and the sex drive is a really strong drive. And for men, it's stronger than women. Oh, sorry, I said something controversial, but men and women are different in this area, okay? Women love sex as much as men do, but you rarely hear about a woman killing another woman for a man, okay? It's a different thing, and we just have to accept that.
Yeah, no, like I'll put this out there. I'll just say this. Like I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me. I don't really feel too bad for them. That's just me. Like
Too bad for who?
For those men. You know what I mean? For those men that aren't able to get whatever, it's just like, no, man, just work on yourself and you know what I mean, figure it out. You know what I mean? Like I was one of those guys my damn self, but so what? You know what I mean? I had to figure it out, you know, and to improve and to be better and hone my own goddamn skills. So that's the reason why, like, I don't feel bad for them. And I think some of them just choose a cop out behind way of not improving their goddamn self. Like, you're being rejected for a goddamn reason. You're just not trying to pay attention and listen to that reason. So that's why, like, to me, I don't feel bad for them. Yeah, that's just me, though. That's just me. But I honestly, like, before cause I think it shows that you got like 6 minutes left. Like, based off of like the actual topic within itself, man, I still want your thoughts on it. You know what? I'm gonna follow you too, man, because you have hella insight, man, and I respect you, and especially like as an older and an elder.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Like, is it easier? Yeah, man, no problem, man. Definitely no problem. I gotta give you the flowers and so forth, especially like within our community, because we don't have enough of that. And honestly, we don't really pay homage enough to the ones before us any goddamn way, and that's our problem.
Yeah, that is a shame, because, you know, I spent my whole life learning from older people, so I don't get it. Like, you know, I'm now at the age where I know shit and nobody wants to listen, you know. But so, yeah, to answer your question, again, I'll start where I started when I came on. You know, the answer is maybe, right? Each situation in a relationship is different. You know, the dynamic is different for the man, it's different for the woman, and it's different for when they get together, right? So each relationship is its own entity. And when you examine what people are dissatisfied with and what their level of commitment is, because, you know, look, the reality of it is that a lot of women don't marry the guy that they really wanted. They married the guy that they settled for, which is why the most divorces are initiated by women. I think there's a direct correlation between those two things. And that's fine. But that obviously creates a dynamic where there's maybe a guy who's in love with this woman and devoted to her and wants to be with her, and there's a woman on the other side going, well, yeah, you're just kind of a placeholder to me. You know, so and you know, you got to find that out when you talk to people and you see what's going on. You got to find out, you know, what the reality of it is for them, and then decide whether it makes sense to continue or it makes sense to work on the relationship. Because I'll finish with this idea. I am a firm believer, unshakably, that relationships are easy. I believe they are meant to be easy. I believe that human connection is literally designed in our DNA. We want to connect to each other. It's easy to connect to each other. And I don't mind putting in effort to connecting in a significant way with someone, but I don't want my relationship to be about working on the relationship. You know, so effort, fine. Work, that's a problem for me. So if you get to the point where it's too much work for what it's worth, then it's time to move on. And I don't have a problem with people moving on frequently or having as many partners as they want to have. I don't have any judgment about that because it's not my life. You can do whatever you want in your life. But just understand, again, if you're a woman, you have different time constraints. If you want a child and you're approaching 30, then you have different considerations that a man in his 30s is not going to have. And that's, again, not a construct. It's not society. This is just biology. So you just have to you have to take a very wide view, as 360 degrees if it's possible, of your life and your circumstance, and figure out what's important to you and what's going to move things forward. And that's it. That's my thought on that.
That makes sense, especially like from a logical standpoint. That definitely makes sense as far as like for the optimization of the choices that a lot of people definitely make. And this definitely goes for like men and women, but especially like for ladies. Like I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. You know what I mean? Especially like for a lot of their decisions that they actually make within themselves. Because sometimes I hear the stories and I'm like, damn, that sucks. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow. But I hope things actually work out. But I think the biggest thing that actually kind of bothers me sometimes is to hear them backtrack and just say, you know what, that guy 2 guys ago wasn't bad. Like, I could have seen the life with him. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Time machine, you wish, but not possible.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just crazy to hear those stories, man. And it's just like, I understand that people want to make the best decisions that they can in their life. And it's kind of hard to foresee that and to foretell that. Like, it really is. Like, I'm not going to cap. Like, I actually, like, even for my wife, I'm not going to lie to you. At any point, she could have dipped off and she could have left me. She really could. I expected her to be very honest with you. Because even at points, I was still growing. Like, I was still going through my struggles. I didn't cheat her or nothing. I didn't bring any stupid drama to her or nothing like that. But it was just a simple fact that I was going through like a lot of different jobs, and there was rough moments with money, especially when I was building my businesses like on the side. And I mentally had already prepared myself for her to really just leave me, because it was just like I already knew that's just how women are. Like, if things aren't serving them in that moment, that's typically how it's going to work, and they're going to dip off and go to the next best thing.
Hey, listen, you got a smarter one. She's a little bit smarter, and so that worked out. And look, the old saying, it takes 2 to tango, right? Everybody has heard that saying, but I've added a tag at the end. Yes, it takes 2 to tango, but it only takes 1 to end the dance. And the one that decides to end the dance doesn't need permission from the other one. And so people can leave anytime they want. But again, what I'm guessing is that she saw the value in the whole relationship and withstood the hard times, because that's part of the vows, right? For better or worse. So that's it for me. Thanks for letting me join. I'm going to follow you back. I only follow 3 people, but now I'll be following 4. I like what you're talking about, and hopefully we'll be able to chat again.